Green herb. The green herb is the foundation of survival in Resident Evil 4 and, honestly, in the entire Resident Evil franchise. It has been around since the very first game in 1996, and nearly 30 years later, it is still the most iconic healing item in gaming history. Not the potion from Final Fantasy, not the med kit from every shooter ever made, the green herb. A simple, glowing plant sitting on the ground in the middle of a nightmare. On its own, a single green herb recovers a small amount of health. We are talking maybe 25% of your health bar in most versions of the game. That is enough to take you out of the danger zone after a hit or two, but it is not going to save you after a chainsaw to the face. Nothing will save you after a chainsaw to the face. That is just death. But here's where things get interesting. The green herb was never designed to be used alone. It is a base ingredient. Think of it as the flour in a recipe. By itself, it does something, but its real power comes from what you combine it with. And Resident Evil 4 gives you a surprisingly deep crafting system for a game that is technically about shooting parasites in the head. The simplest combination is green plus green. 2 green herbs mixed together. This recovers a moderate amount of health, roughly 50 to 60% of your bar. It is the bread and butter combo for most players during the early and mid-game. You find green herbs constantly. They are scattered across every chapter, tucked into barrels, sitting on shelves, sometimes just lying in the dirt next to a pile of dead villagers. The game wants you to have them. It just does not want you to have enough of them. Then there's the triple. Green plus green plus green. 3 herbs combined into 1 item. This recovers a significant chunk of health, somewhere around 70 to 80% depending on the version you are playing. It is a strong heal, but it comes with a cost that most players do not think about. You are using 3 inventory slots worth of herbs to create 1 healing item. In a game where inventory management is a constant puzzle, that trade-off matters more than you might expect. 3 green herbs used separately give you 3 small heals spread across 3 different moments. Combined, they give you 1 big heal in a single moment. The question is always the same. Do you need sustained recovery over time, or 1 emergency heal when everything goes wrong? That decision defines how experienced a player is. And this is just the green herb. It gets much more complex from here, because the green herb has 2 partners, and they completely change the game. The red herb. The red herb does absolutely nothing by itself. You cannot consume it. You cannot sell it for any meaningful amount. If you try to use a red herb on its own, the game simply will not let you. It sits in your inventory, taking up space like a promise that has not been fulfilled yet. But combine a red herb with a green herb, and something remarkable happens. The mixture restores your health completely, full bar, every single point. It does not matter if you're at 90% health or 1% health. Green plus red brings you back to maximum. This is one of the most satisfying moments in the entire game. You are limping through a room, screen desaturated, breathing heavy. Every enemy a potential game over. You open the inventory, combine green and red, use the mixture, and suddenly you are back. Full health, full confidence. It is the Resident Evil equivalent of finding a $100 bill in your jacket pocket. The red herb has existed in the series since Resident Evil 2, and its design philosophy has never changed. It is a force multiplier. It takes something decent and makes it incredible. On its own, it is dead weight. Paired with the right partner, it is the best healing item in the game. And this creates a fascinating inventory dilemma that veteran players agonize over. Do you combine your green and red herbs immediately for security? Or do you hold the red herb in reserve, waiting for a green herb to appear so you can make the combo when you actually need it? Combining too early means you might waste a full heal when you are only missing a sliver of health. Waiting too long means you might die with an unused red herb in your case. It is a small decision, but Resident Evil 4 is built on small decisions that compound into survival or death. The red herb taught an entire generation of gamers a design principle they did not realize they were learning. Not everything has to be useful on its own to be essential to the system. Now, if the red herb is the amplifier, the next herb is the one that breaks the rules entirely. The yellow herb. Every healing item we have discussed so far operates within the same framework. You have a health bar. It goes down, you bring it back up. The yellow herb does not play that game. The yellow herb makes the bar itself bigger. Combined with a green herb, the green and yellow mixture does two things simultaneously. It recovers a portion of your health, and it permanently increases your maximum health capacity. Your ceiling goes up. The hit points you can carry into a fight expand. Enemies that used to be 3 hits from killing you now take 4. That might not sound dramatic on paper, but in a game where 1 extra hit can mean the difference between surviving a room and reloading a save file, it is enormous. The yellow herb cannot be used alone, just like the red one. It needs green to activate. But unlike the red herb, which is relatively common, yellow herbs are rare. The game places them deliberately, almost as rewards for exploration or for surviving particularly difficult sections. Finding a yellow herb feels like the game acknowledging that things are about to get harder and giving you the tools to keep up. And then there is the ultimate combination, the one that every player remembers. Green plus red plus yellow. Green plus red plus yellow, the ultimate herb mixture, the single best craftable healing item in the entire game. It does everything. It recovers your health to full. It increases your maximum health. It is the equivalent of getting a full medical checkup, a blood transfusion, and a gym membership, all from eating a handful of mixed plants. This combination is so powerful that the game barely gives you the opportunity to make it. Yellow herbs are scarce. Having a green, red, and yellow herb in your inventory at the same time requires either careful planning or lucky timing. Most players will craft this combination maybe 3 or 4 times in an entire playthrough. And every single time, there is a moment of hesitation. Do I use this now? Is there something worse coming? Should I save it? The answer, by the way, is almost always to use it. The max health increase is permanent. There is no scenario where increasing your health ceiling is a bad idea. But the psychology of holding onto your best item is so deeply wired into gamer brains that people will finish the game with a green, red, yellow mix still sitting in their case, unused, because they were always waiting for the right moment that never came. This phenomenon is so common, it has a name in gaming circles. It is called too good to use syndrome, and the Resident Evil series might be the franchise most responsible for it. From carefully crafted plant combinations, we move to something much more straightforward: the panic button. First Aid Spray. The First Aid Spray is the simplest healing item in the game. No combinations, no strategy, no mixing. You use it, you get full health. Done. It has been a staple of the Resident Evil series since the original game, and its role has never changed. It is the safety net, the item you carry for when everything falls apart. When you walk into a room you were not prepared for, when a grab attack catches you off guard, when a boss does something you have never seen before and takes 80% of your health in one move, that is when the First Aid Spray comes out. But here's the hidden cost most players do not consider. In the original Resident Evil 4, using First Aid Sprays too frequently affected your end-of-game ranking. The game tracked how many you used, and heavy reliance on sprays could knock you down a tier. It was the game's way of saying, this is the easy option, and we are keeping score. In terms of pure inventory efficiency, the First Aid Spray is hard to beat. It takes up a relatively small space in your attaché case and guarantees a full recovery regardless of circumstances. But in terms of resource management over an entire playthrough, herbs are often better. A green-red combo does the same thing as a First Aid Spray, but is crafted from 2 items that you find separately and more frequently. The spray is a single find, and the game does not hand them out often. The best players treat the First Aid Spray the same way you treat a fire extinguisher. You want it nearby. You hope you never need it. And when you do need it, nothing else will do. Now we leave the world of medicine and botany entirely, because in Resident Evil 4, the most unexpected healing items are not plants or sprays, they are food. Eggs. Scattered throughout certain areas of Resident Evil 4 are chickens, real, living, clucking chickens. They wander around villages and farms, doing chicken things, completely unbothered by the apocalyptic horror happening around them. And if you wait near them, or check the right spots, they lay eggs. And you can eat those eggs. Raw, in the middle of combat if you want. There are 3 types of eggs, and the difference between them is significant. The white egg is the most common. It recovers a small amount of health, roughly the same as a single green herb. It is not going to change your life, but it is free healing in a game where every resource counts. You did not have to find this item in a locked room or buy it from a merchant. A chicken just made it, for free. The brown egg is rarer and recovers a moderate amount of health. Think of it as roughly equivalent to a double green herb combination. Finding a brown egg feels like a minor victory. It is the game rewarding you for paying attention to your environment instead of just running past everything. And then there is the gold egg, the legendary gold egg. It recovers your health completely, full bar, same as a first aid spray or a green-red herb combo. And it comes from a chicken. A regular chicken in a horror game just produced an item equivalent to military-grade medical supplies. The gold egg is extraordinarily rare. Most players will see one or two in an entire playthrough, if they see any at all. Some players finish the game without knowing gold eggs exist. Here is what makes the egg system secretly brilliant from a game design perspective. It rewards exploration and patience. A player who rushes through areas will never find eggs. A player who takes their time, checks corners, and interacts with the environment gets free healing. The eggs are a hidden reward system for playing the game the way the developers intended, carefully, methodically, and with respect for the world they built. And the eggs have another use entirely. You can throw them at enemies. An egg does no damage, but the disrespect factor is immeasurable. Throwing a white egg at a final boss is the Resident Evil equivalent of a mic drop. From poultry products, we move to something pulled directly from the water: black bass. In certain areas of Resident Evil 4, you can find bodies of water that contain black bass. You can shoot them, pick them up, and store them in your inventory. And then, whenever you need health, you can eat a raw fish in the middle of a castle siege or a military compound. Nobody in the game comments on this. Leon just eats a whole fish and keeps moving. The black bass comes in two sizes, and the size determines how much health it recovers. A small bass recovers a modest amount, useful in a pinch, but nothing remarkable. A large bass recovers a significantly higher amount of health, making it comparable to some of the better herb combinations. What makes the black bass fascinating is the opportunity cost. Fish take up inventory space. In a game where every square of your attaché case matters, carrying a fish means not carrying ammunition, grenades, or other items. The player has to decide, is this fish worth more than the 4 pistol bullets I could fit in the same space? Early in the game, when resources are tight and enemies are manageable, the answer is often yes. Later in the game, when every inventory slot needs to contribute to damage output, carrying fish becomes a luxury most players cannot afford. The black bass is also one of the few healing items in the game that requires a specific action to obtain. Herbs are picked up, sprays are found in boxes, eggs are grabbed from the environment. But fish require you to stop, aim at the water, shoot, and collect. It is an active process in a game that rarely gives you time to relax. The act of fishing in Resident Evil 4 is itself a small act of defiance against the constant pressure the game puts on you. And finally, we arrive at the most surprising healing item in the entire game, one that most players discover completely by accident: the Viper. In certain outdoor areas of Resident Evil 4, you can encounter snakes, vipers. They hide in boxes, in grass, and crates. Most of the time, they are a hazard. They bite you and deal a small amount of damage. They are an annoyance, a tiny gotcha moment in a game full of much larger threats. But here's the twist: you can kill them. And when you kill a viper, it drops as an item, and you can eat it, and it heals you. The amount of health recovered from eating a viper is minimal. We are talking about the smallest heal in the entire game. It is barely worth the inventory space. But the sheer fact that it exists says something important about Resident Evil 4's design philosophy. The game wants you to see everything as a resource. Every enemy encounter, every environmental object, every random chicken and snake in the world is a potential tool for survival. The Viper healing mechanic teaches players to think differently about their environment. That thing that just hurt you? It is also food. The threat is also the cure. There is a dark humor to it as well. Leon Kennedy, special agent sent by the President of the United States to rescue his daughter, is standing in a Spanish village, eating a raw snake he just killed with a knife. No cooking, no preparation, just raw snake. And it works. It heals him. In the world of Resident Evil 4, apparently the cure for parasite infection is just consuming every living thing you encounter.